Hear ye, this is Lord Potato. And this is What If Asta Had Serpent Magic? Part 2. So this is this is part 2, yeah. What's it called? Sorry for a burp, but yeah, I'm just gonna... You should probably already recognize this, but I burp a lot, I don't know. But other than that, let me go into this What If and shut up. Let me also say subscribe to Anime Sensei, Icon of What Ifs and Open to What Ifs. Links are in the description. Second channel is also there. But not the point. What's it called? What was I gonna also say? Oh yeah, so this is part 2, no recaps, and yeah, let me begin. So we go into Asta being with the Black Bulls, being mostly in the hideout. Asta is hissing. Right now being quiet and just hissing away from them. He doesn't like this many people just kind of like being really loud. Asta has been in his cave for a while, being really quiet. He likes the quietness much better, but yeah. Of course, this is where everyone is kind of like, not creeped out with Asta. They're just surprised the fact that there's another Black Bull member that doesn't actually live with them. Which is confusing because, well, half of them just live with each other because this is a Black Bull hideout. They mostly sleep in their own rooms, but yeah. It's just surprising they haven't seen this dude. Well, some of them are surprised, some of them are kinda surprised. And Yami doesn't seem that surprised. He just seems really surprised that Asta is kinda getting along with Gray and even, Goro, but yeah. This is where, Asta's waiting until the mission. So of course the next day happens, and of course this is where, not the next day happened, it was mostly it was today, where they all went to kind of get swimsuits or whatever. And this is where, Noelle is kind of getting like a swimsuit and all that. She doesn't know what to get. She is not very decisive that much, but since Asta, she hasn't met for a while, like, what's it called, original canon, she isn't trying to, like, show off too much skin or anything. And, of course, since she barely knows about Asta's attitude or anything, she just doesn't seem to like Asta that much because, she barely even knows him, so yeah. This is where, Junko and Kurumi are also with Vanessa kind of trying to pick out an outfit. Now, they don't mind about Asta's, like, new look and all that. They just are right now having, like, their face is kind of red, trying to think about it. It's because Asta mostly hides his face a lot. That's where, they did try to bring Asta along with them to kind of get to, like, swimsuit and all that. This is where Asta disappears with a burst of speed because he didn't just want to deal with them that much. It's because even though he was, like, kind of in the church and everyone was kind of loud, Asta likes being in like, peace and quiet. And the fact that his face kind of shows to be kind of like a serpent, he doesn't want to creep out that many people. And then have more problems, but yeah. This is where Asta is mostly just kind of being in a Black Bull hideout. And of course, just staying there. Being quiet. Not really preparing anything. Well, everyone else is preparing, even what's called, Gotch? Not Gotch, wait. So even Ghost is kind of going to prepare and all that. Why, this is where Asta is just sitting there. This is where Yami is going to say, he says, so you're not going to go with them? This is where, he's kind of reading the like paper news and all that. And Asta stays quiet. This is where Yami kind of says, Asta, for someone who is very talented in magic and powerful and other things and being able to take out very strong terrorists, I'm surprised you're not popular with the ladies or with anyone. Asta stays quiet and says, I might be strong and powerful, but I'd rather stay quiet about it. I don't like anyone, and especially not that much. That's where Yami says, so I heard that you kind of got into a little scuffle with that Golden Dawn, with kind of being the newest rookie there. That boy named Yamato. Or not Yamato, Do you know him by any chance? Asta, who stays more quiet, says, kinda. We grew up in the church, and when he got his 4-leaf grimoire, I was happy for him. I was glad that he was going to be a magic knight. I, on the other hand, did not want to be a magic knight, even if I was hiding my powers from them. I just wanted to make sure that they were excited and, getting well, their own goals ready. I didn't have a goal. My goal was to protect everyone in the church. I don't really care about anyone else. As it were, well, Yami says, okay. It seems your dream won't change, but maybe in a couple of months or years or whatever, it probably will change. This is where Asta kind of stays quiet and just says, okay. As it were, the next day happens, and of course everyone is going towards, well, the beach. Of course, some of them are somewhat riding along with other people on a broom, but Asta is not riding along anyone with any broom. This is where a giant snake is mostly kind of having wings, and it's right now flying. This is where the serpent hissed. This is where all of them are kind of surprised. And of course, this is where Noelle is also surprised because she had to take a ride on the serpent because her magic still sucks. This is where Junko and Kurumi are right now excited. They're right now also on the serpent. This is where, well, what's it called? Finral, he is saddened that no girl took a ride on his, like, broom and all that. But, of course, this is where, well, Magna and even Luck were shocked to see the serpent. The serpent was kind of, well, not like, he was kind of flying with the wings and all that. But he was also moving like a normal snake would kind of move, like, on the ground. But yeah, like slithering in the sky. This is where, well, the serpent hissed. And of course, he is, well, a special type of snake. Or serpent, I should mention. He is a wind serpent. This is where the wind serpent hisses and says, so, Asta-sama, are we close to where we need to go? Asta says, I don't really know. What am I supposed to look for? This is where, well, I actually screamed that out loud. This is where, well, they say, you realize we're already in the middle of top of it. This is where Asta says, huh? The blue sea? Or blue water thing over there? This is where all of them says, you really are kind of dense half the time. This is where Asta says, I see. Can you land us down, what's it called? That's where Asta says, land us down, Tsubasa. Tsubasa nodded. And of course, this is where he lands down onto, like, the sand. Of course, they were kind of far away from other civilians. And this is where Asta says, thank you, Tsubasa. This is where Tsubasa says, yes, sir. He transforms into wind and disappears after that. This is where Asta is still kind of wearing his, like, brown hood. And of course, walking down there. That's where everyone else is excited. And right now, in their swimsuits, Yami is nowhere to be seen, and Asta's kind of confused. This is where everyone is kind of in the swimsuits, and of course, this is where, well, they are all somewhat talking, but Luck and Magna are kind of just chasing, well, mostly running, doing a running contest. Gosh is kind of like making with Marie's kind of like sand sculpture and all that. Goro is there. He did kind of come along also because Asta did put him also on the serpent. Because, yeah. This is where he's kind of like in a swimsuit also. Gordon is also in a swimsuit. This swimsuit, he's wearing black trunks, a black t-shirt, and of course, black kind of like sandals. And this is where he's out there kind of whispering and still kind of like being in the dark shape, but yeah, and looking into the sea and all that. This is where, well, he's going, whisper. I really don't understand him half the damn time, but yeah. This is where, well, what's it called? Noelle is looking around, and of course her, what's it called, swimsuit, mostly her kind of bikini and all that. She is kind of still embarrassed because, well, she picked, what's it called, the fanciest one looking like it. But of course, the one that covered up some more. This is where Junko and Kurumi are actually looking for Asta, and Asta is right now on top of a tree. Well, one of those coconut trees and kind of just sitting there. This is where Asta is kind of meditating. This is where Asta doesn't really care about this kind of part of the mission. The only thing he cares is about finishing this mission already, not enjoying the part of it. This is where, well, Asta kind of, like, one of the snakes kind of slithered up towards his neck and went out of his, like, coat and all that, and kind of landed on top of, like, his, like, well, he's sitting down and all that, so of course landing on his leg. This, like, snake is a little bit smaller than half of the snakes that Asta has, but this snake is special. It's, well, white. Well, yeah, it's white that has red eyes, and of course, well, it kind of has a little bit pattern like a red diamond another. Well, red diamond pattern. And this is where Asta says, what's it called? This is where Asta says, White Flambo. Why you out in the, what's it called? Why you on my lap? This is where, well, the snake kind of hiss and starts talking, saying, oh, I just wanted to see the ocean. Can we please check it out? Please, please, please. This is where, well, Asta smiles and says, sure. The snake of the apocalypse. Well, the white flame snakes of the apocalypse. This is where, what's it called? You know what, I'm gonna call him, so yeah, so his name is, White, Flambo. And of course, this is where another black, like, another snake pops out of nowhere. And this time, it's kind of the same size as the other one. But it has, like, black scales. The pattern on top of him is kind of, like, a little bit dark blue. And of course, he has, well, bluish eyes. Well, not bluish eyes, greenish eyes. This is where, well, Asta says, hello there, Amaterasu. So, one is called White Flames, while the other one's called Amaterasu. So, yeah, Black Flames, mostly. This is where, well, or, actually, no. The white snake is called Shoron, while the other one is called Amaterasu. And this is where, well, Asta says, so, you two are just wanting to see the sea, don't you? This is where both of them nodded. This is where Asta sighs, and this is where Asta says, fine. This is where Asta jumps off the tree and kind of lands into the water. This is where, well, he kind of lets both of the snakes kind of down. And this is where both of them are kind of just swimming in the water somewhat. This is where Asta's kind of looking at them. This is where Asta is really not paying attention towards anyone. And this is where, well, Junko and Kurumi appear saying, Asta! This is where Asta falls down into the water and smashes his face into it. This is where Asta jumps away from them. And this is where both of the serpents kind of rushes towards him and kind of hiss at both Junko and Kurumi. This is where they say, come on, Asta. It's a beach time. You should be in a swimsuit, not in your brownish coat. You know, you should probably stop wearing that. It should be extremely hot inside, isn't it? Asta says, no, not really. This is where both of them says, how about if we make a bet and you lose, you're gonna have to wear a swimsuit. Asta says, no. This is where both of them sighs and say, come on! This is where Asta says, leave me alone. This is where, well, the two serpents do jump, well, go back and slither around Asta. And of course, this is where Asta says, now if you don't mind me, I'm gonna, well, enjoy the water somewhat. This is where, well, Asta just goes far away from them, but yeah. This is where both of them are very angry and pouting because the fact that Asta doesn't seem to enjoy himself and the fact that Asta hasn't taken off the hood or anything kind of disappoints them, but yeah. This is where Noelle is kind of seeing this, and this is where Noelle kind of walks up to them and says, so what is happening, you two? This is where both of them say, oh, we're just trying to get our, well, friend over there to actually take off the goddamn coat half the damn time. It's hot out here. How is he not burning? This is where, well, that is happening. Of course, this is where Luck, Magna, and even what's called Charming, even what's called Gon are kind of, well, what's it called, Ghost is fighting and all that. Sorry about that. They're fighting, and of course, this is where, well, they do run over that one dude, and this is where Asta is kind of like playing in the water, and this is where the haha guy appears, landing on the water in front of him. This is where both of his snakes kind of got hurt a little bit, because they kind of like hiss really loud, because the person did land it on them. This is where Asta, he kind of brings them both back into his coat, and also has this menacing, murderous glare in his eyes. This is where the haha guy says, ha. This is where an explosion of, well, mana exploded in, well, Asta's kind of power. And this is where Asta says, serpent obliteration. Obliteration flames of hell. This is where flames appear blasting haha guy back into the water further away from him. This is where Asta says, you disgusting human dare attack them. This is where both of the snakes were kind of crying, but this is where they're happy and they jump back into the water. This is where they're smaller, and of course, Asta is very overprotective from them. This is where, well, Asta is kind of just chilling, and of course, this is where the serpents do kind of ask Asta to kind of take off the coat. Because it's kind of creepy if he kind of has it, well, still on. This is where Asta says, "What do you want? I'm not taking it off." This is where one of the black snake kind of jumps on Asta and gets towards Asta's kind of coat and like takes it off. This is where he says, "It's better. Besides, you should be burning up. I know that we serpents have cold blood, but at the same time, Asta, you're half human, half serpent. You're not fully serpent, so you somewhat are burning up. Your face is kind of burning up, sir." This is where Asta says, "It's fine. You don't need to worry about me. I should be worrying about you. You two got sat on. Aren't you okay?" This is where, they kind of nod and says, "We're fine. We heal pretty fast. Besides, our father is really strong. He's the strongest serpent in the entire serpent gods and all that." This is where Asta nodded, saying, "I understand, but I'm just worrying." This is where, they say, "Then we have to be worried about you. Your safety and health is more important than ours. We can live a little bit longer than you, Asta-san." This is where, Asta just says, "Whatever." This is where, Yami appears saying, "Okay, listen up, all of you." Asta appearing right next to them with still his hood. This is where Yami kind of glares at Asta and says, "God damn it, I didn't expect you to still wearing your hood while everyone out here is wearing a swimsuit. Go get a freaking swimsuit." Asta, on the other hand, doesn't even go get a swimsuit. He just sits there still. That's where Yami says, "Okay, I'll go find you a swimsuit later or whatever. We'll help you in your goddamn fashion style or whatever. Okay, listen up here, you all idiots. We are going towards the sea temple in 7 days. 7 days, a full moon will happen. And the perfect person to help us there, to get through the barrier, the water barrier and the storms and all that, would be, Noelle, since she is a water user." Now, when the full moon happens, yes, everything's kind of, like he explains that in the original canon and all that. And of course, this is where Noelle is kind of freaking out because she doesn't have perfect mana control. And this is where Asta kind of sees her face kind of twist into sadness and really kind of sadness even more because she is not that great in controlling her mana. This is where Junko and Umi Junko and Kurumi actually notices. This is where, they notice Noelle kind of having a sad face. This is where Noelle says, "But I can't." This is where Yami still tells us the same thing and says that you're gonna have to do it or we all die. Asta, who is kind of just, doesn't care much. But this is where, Yami says, "Okay, all of you go get some goddamn rest or whatever the hell you want to do." This is where, Noelle kind of, sighs and, of course, goes to start training. But this is where, before Asta decides to get to leave and all that, and he kind of, behind some rocks, he kind of, appears and starts walking away. This is where Yami says, "Okay, no, you don't. You are going to get a fucking swimsuit one way or another. I don't care what it looks like. I don't give a shit. You're not going to be wearing that goddamn coat every single time throughout this goddamn, vacation of ours." This is where Asta says, "I thought this was a mission." Yeah, shut up, let's go. This is where, the, clone of Asta is being taken away. This is where the real one actually just walks out of the actual rock that was kind of there. This is where, Asta says, "Sorry about that clone of mine." This is where, Asta goes to walk near what they call Noelle's spot. This is where Asta's mana is all the way down, not even being able to be, fine, even if he had a tiny bit of mana on him. This is where, he's a very, just staying in the dark and seeing Noelle practice her water magic. Right now, she's trying to get the water, a dragon, nest. The dragon nest or dragon cage? I can't remember. Dragon cage nest? I forgot if that was the thing called. But yeah, this is where she's trying to get that one down because it's the most powerful and other things. And this is where, her mana really sucks. This is where, she's trying really hard. And this is where, Asta kind of walks out of his hidey hole and kind of sees Noelle and kind of just talks. This is where Noelle kind of freaks out and saying, "You're Asta. What are you doing behind me, you creep?" That's where Asta says, "Sorry about that. I just see you struggling with your mana. It's quite pathetic, might I say." This is where Asta kind of hissed at that part. This is where, Noelle kind of gets saddened and says, well, I'm trying. This is where she has memories and all of like her family and all that treating her, saying that you're useless and other things. This is where Asta kind of goes up to her closer. This is where Asta does take off his hood. This is where when Noelle sees Asta's face kind of has scales and all that a little bit. He kind of looks like Kabuto a little bit and all that, but without the glasses. And of course, Asta's eyes is one green, one red, but they're slick. But Asta seems to have a very caring smile and saying, you know, you should really let go of the flow. You should really try to feel the mana, let it flow, not try to control it all at once. This is where Noelle is kind of shocked because Asta's kind of telling her what to do. Even though Asta seems to be quiet and stays to himself most of the time, it seems that he is able to kind of teach her a little bit of how to control her mana. As where, Noelle tries to do that. Of course, she is trying, but of course, she is kind of getting there slowly and slowly. But of course, this is where they hear singing, and this is where, they meet someone named, what's it called? This is where they meet a girl with red hair and singing another, and her name is Kahono, and of course she says, hi there. This is where, Asta and Noelle are surprised. This is where Asta does put on his hood back again, because he doesn't like people seeing his face or anything. This is, he only let Noelle see it because he is trying to get friendly with her, so she can try to control her magic, because you can see that she sucks at magic and all. This is where Kahono says, well, what are you guys doing? Do you like the performance singing that did? This is where, Noelle says, it was beautiful. She kind of smiles. This is where Asta says, sure, what she said. This is where Kahono says, huh? Why are you wearing a hood? Also, why are you wearing a coat right now? It's extremely hot. I know that's turning night, and it's kind of getting colder, but still, that's no way for you to start wearing that. This is where Asta says, doesn't matter. This is where, Kahono says, but, what's it called? If you like the singing, pay me this much. This is where, she didn't say that. No, she said, it seems one of you are kind of under a lot of stress. Mostly throughout their body. This is where, Noelle says, huh? Me? No, not really. This is where Kahono looks at Asta and saying, your muscles are a little bit too tense, don't you think? This is where Asta says, probably. I just have to, go back to the cave. It's been, not too tense and all that. It just seems to be extremely, burnt a little bit, since he's wearing a coat a little bit, but yeah. That's where she said that. That's where it's also tense a little bit, but yeah. Asta says, doesn't matter that much. That's where she starts singing, of course, healing Asta's body. That's where Asta says, interesting. I guess you can sing and heal people. That's where, she says, yep, I have a specialty for it. Well, that can be this much. That's where Asta pays her, and that's where, she says, no complaint. Interesting. Well, what are you two doing here? Oh, she did say to you guys want to be friends at the beginning, and this is where Noelle said, sure. And Asta kind of looks away and doesn't answer the question. That's where, Kahono says, oh, I know what you two was doing here. Could it be that you two were... That's where Noelle looks away because she starts blushing really red, because after seeing Asta smile and all that, and kind of teaching her some points, just to see if she can get her control and what's called water magic better. That's where she turns red. That's where Asta seems to know what she's talking about, and that's where Asta's face kind of turns a little bit of a shade of red. This is where, both what's called snakes, one being a white snake that I'm actually going to name what's called Karu, and the other one being named what's called Amartelsa. But yeah, this is where, Karu is the white snake, and this is where he is just chuckling a little bit. This is where Amartelsa is also chuckling. But yeah, that's where Asta gets to know both of them. That's where Asta says, no, we were not. I was helping her with her magic control. This is where Kahono says, magic control? But I can't feel an ounce of magic from you. This is where Asta says, it's hidden. Since I have a little bit of magic, I don't well, I can't really use it that much. So yeah. This is where, well, he says, since I have a little bit of magic, I can control it a little bit much better. This is where, well, she's like, oh, okay, so why are you trying to control your magic? Asta, he doesn't say anything, and this is where Noelle accidentally spilled the beans and saying that they're going to the water temple. This is where Kahono doesn't seem that much surprised, and this is where she says, oh, then I can help you, Noelle, with water control. That's where she starts kind of giving Noelle some details, but yeah, and how to control her water magic and all that. Until the 7th day, this is where Noelle was like getting frustrated, and this is where Asta kind of suggests at the beginning where he was talking to Noelle about letting go of the flow entirely. This is where Noelle thought about it, and this is where, well, Noelle said, fine, but I hope I won't get hurt. You got it? This is where she starts kind of speaking somewhat royalty to Asta. Asta doesn't seem phased from her, but yeah. This is where, well, she starts making the water, what's it called? Water dragon cage, or mostly like nest and all that. And this is where she starts like doing it. I should mention that Asta did have a what's it called swimsuit that was picked by Yami about like what's it called 6 days ago. Of course, the swimsuit it was mostly him having black trunks and all, like yeah, like shorts and all, and of course wearing a black t-shirt. Even though he wanted to get a black long sleeve, but of course Yami didn't allow him, and of course Asta's muscles were kind of showing from, well, his usual kind of wearing his kind of coat, his like brownish coat that was not showing any muscles. And this one he kind of shows muscles from his shirt and his like shorts that were kind of, well, his shorts were near his knee and all that. And of course, well, his shirt was a little bit not that tight, but of course still showing a lot of muscles. This is where most of his arms are muscular and all that. This is where, well, Yami was surprised that it's not. He kind of knew about that a little bit, but a lot of them were kind of surprised the next day when, well, that happened. Noelle's face was becoming so red every time she saw Asta kind of walk and move a little because his muscles were kind of like moving a little bit, but yeah. This is where Junko and Kurumi also went red. Right now, kind of having blood kind of come out of their nose. Multiple girls in the, what's it called, like beach still kind of have blood noses. Even if Asta's face doesn't look that great, because he might have scales a little bit, but of course he still looks better than half of the guys in the Magic Kingdom, so yeah. So not many girls were complaining. Of course, where Asta was kind of very embarrassed because he doesn't like showing his face half the time, and he wanted to get a mask, but Yami didn't allow him, and neither a hat. Asta was quite annoyed, but yeah. This is where, well, we go into Noelle kind of concentrating, of course, losing like the flow and all that. This is where the water bubble starts kind of expanding and all that. This is where, well, sorry about that. Let me say that again. This is where, well, Noelle is doing it, and of course, this is where, well, the water bubble kind of appears. This is where everyone starts cheering on her and telling her that she can do it. This is where Noelle's about to lose control until a blue water serpent appears. This is where it starts going into the bubble and of course manages to get in. And this is where the blue serpent says, Lord Asta has told me that you can do it. Just believe in yourself. Concentrate on the good memories that you had as a black bull. This is where, well, Noelle kind of concentrated on her memories and everyone, and this is where everyone is kind of congratulating her and all that, telling her that she can do it. And this is where she kind of like thinks of Asta. This is where her face kind of becomes red a little bit, and of course managed to kind of control the water cage bubble, which she managed to kind of, well, contain it. This is where, well, she is thinking a little bit too hard. This is where the water bubble does explode and of course splash onto everyone because her face did become more red, and of course was thinking so much of a dirty mind thought for Asta that's why it exploded. This is where, well, she started falling down, and this is where she was about to fall down, and this is where Fernando says, I got this. This is where Asta jumps in and already catches Noelle. This is where Asta says, you fine? This is where Noelle, kind of her face was going extremely red and saying, yeah. This is where Asta already noticed Kahono. Yeah, Kahono already leaving, and of course, Asta noticed that she jumped into the water. Asta didn't say anything, instead thinking that she's probably from the sea temple. And so, well, that happened. Of course, the next day happens. Of course, Yami says, "Okay, let's get ready. Now remember, Noelle, our lives is in your hands." This is where she gets kind of nervous. That's where Asta says, "It's fine." Asta puts its hand on Noelle's shoulder, and this is where Noelle's face becomes red and says, "Yes, I can do this." This is where she does the water bubble cage, and of course, they manage to get through. And this is where, well, that barrier was happening. And this is where, well, Yami says, this is great. That's what they're saying. How do we get there? Of course, this is where Gray was transformed into kind of looking like Asta a little bit. This is where, well, because he's the most thin out of all of them. Even though half of them can't really, like, get a good look on how thin he is. Well, not that thin, but he is muscular and all that. But, of course, this is where, well, he's also the tallest mostly out of all of them. He is 15, but he's 5'8". This is where, well, Gray is transformed into that, even though, well, he kind of talks a lot. And this is where Asta is quite annoyed and says, "You want to keep talking, I'll bite you." This is where, well, Gray kind of shuts up because, yeah, she just realized that if she stays in any longer into, well, Asta's transformation, she's probably going to die from the fact Asta, the real one, will try to kill him. Or try to kill her, but yeah. This is where Asta says, "Yami, throw me there." This is where, well, Yami says, "Huh? Just throw me." This is where he pulls out the anti-magic book, and this is where he pulls out the sword, and this is where Yami says, "Sure, why not, kid?" He throws Asta. This is where Asta cuts through it cleanly, and like lands onto the concrete. This is where, well, he lands smoothly, and of course put the sword back into the anti-magic book. This is where, well, they land in, and of course everyone is trying to congratulate him and all that. That's where, well, that is happening, and of course where so many of them are just saying, "Wow, magic knives, this, and this." Asta, who's right now having his coat, and not being kind of like talked to by the other like underwater kind of people and all that. They don't really talk to him because Asta is quiet and doesn't seem to really listen to any of them that much, or yeah. This is where, well, they kind of manage to go into the temple, the sea temple, and of course meet the old man. And of course the old man says, "We will play a game. A game of, what? Squish the jigglies." This is where, well, Noelle does manage to send a very powerful water bubble to smash upon this guy and start stomping on this person. And Asta isn't the one kind of complaining about it that much. He's not really saying enough to crush this old man. Asta wanted to pull his sword out and just stab this guy and take the stone. This is where, well, before he was able to even summon out his sword from his own book, from mostly the anti-magic book, this is where, well, Yami stops him and says, "What are you doing?" Asta says, "What do you think I'm doing? I'm killing him so I can take the stone and we're done with it." Yami sighs, knowing that Asta is first instinct to kill him. Done. This is where, well, Luck and even Magna had an idea, and even Gosh, well, what's it called? Yeah, Gosh, who had an idea to just kill him. So basically, Asta was in that group. So yeah, this is where Noelle was quite annoyed with this old man. Vanessa didn't really care, and this is where Junko and what's it called, Karumi did care because, well, they even used their own magic to try to kill this old man. That's why the old man says, "Fine, let's have an actual real game. It's a battle royale." This is where he sends him all into different places, like into the same battle royale place. Sorry about that. This is where, well, they were sent towards the same like battle royale places and all that. This is where, well, Yami was confused, and this is where the old man says, "I can't really let you. Your magical power is too strong, your mana." This is where Yami realized that Asa is there, and this is where he smiles with this evil grin, and this is where the older man says, "So, do you want to make a bet?" This is where Yami says, "Oh, of course. All my money is on that boy." This is where the older man says, "Huh? Did you go crazy or something?" This is where Yami says, "Oh, no. You were the one going crazy." Because they did explain about the ranks and all that. And of course, if Yami had to put, Asta in a specific rank, an actual rank of which he is on, it is called fucking unknown, because God this kid's rank should be higher. Should be at least Wizard King. Let me say that again. Not Wither. Wizard King level. So of course, this is where Yami says, just saying. This is where, well, what's it called? So the old man says, whatever. If you lose that much money, it's gonna go into my bank. This is where, well, the Black Wolves are kind of going, and of course, this is where Asta meets the same dude like in Original Canyon, and that's where the guy says, I can't even sense an ounce of magic in you. This is going to be This is where before he even says anything, he already got bite, like a fast serpent snake went towards him and bite him in the neck, knocking him out. Asta says, loser, pathetic, weakling, get the fuck off my face. This is where Asta walks away. This is where, well, Yami laughs and says, wow, it only took one bite from a serpent. So, old man, so are you going to get ready to pay me all that money or what? This is where the old man widened his eyes. He didn't expect that kid to be able to be that powerful. But the serpent from his hand? What? Oh, don't worry. He's going to be full of surprises. And when he defeats all of your people, I'm going to get so much money. This is where, well, the old man says, what about the others? Oh, well, the others can do well also. I hope they don't lose, because if they lose, I'm going to kill them. This is where Fenrir is still having the same problem running away. This is where the old man is saying, hey, why you running away? Well, time to kind of do the annoying spells. This is where Yami says, Fenrir, stop running away. I'm going to fucking kill you if you get out here. This is where Fenrir is saying, God damn it, why? This is where, well, I forgot who Fenrir was fighting. Fuck. But yeah. This is where, well, Fenrir is hiding, but yeah, this is where Luck and Magna are fighting against that one dude who was actually like, what's it called? Kahono. Yeah, Kahono is like father and all that. And even what's it called? Kahono is like brother is about to fight Asta. This is where the person says, I guess I'm gonna have to be fighting against you. You were the one to cut through the barrier, weren't you? With that kind of weird sword you had. I don't know much about information from you. All I know is, well, you're pretty strange for having no mana. That's where Asta, he disappears in a burst of speed. That's where he sends a powerful knee into this person. That's where the person couldn't react, even with his dance, could not react fast enough. He gets his mask shattered because it was mostly aiming for his mask. This is where he was surprised. This is where when he looks into the eyes of the person, because Asta did, well, not knee, mostly sent a kick. And of course, this is where, well, their eyes connect. This is where, well, what the person sees, well, what's it called? Let me remember his name. His name is Kiaro. And of course, this is where he is shocked to see select eyes, like a snake or whatever. This is where, well, he is shocked with the speed. Of course, he jumps away and starts trying to slice at, well, Asta. Asta, on the other hand, is dodging pretty easily. He is dodging like a snake would do. Mostly jump away, dodge, kind of like be a little bit slippery, but yeah. So, well, Kotaro, Kotaro or whatever. What am I saying again? Kotaro was kind of shocked. Even with his own dance attack, he can't protect Asta's moves. Because Asta isn't like reading this person's key. He doesn't read this person's mana pretty easily. Because Asta is blessed with mana. But of course, this is where Asta... Let me stop burping. Asta is just seeing this. And of course, this is where, well, something happens. This is where, well, the midnight, what's it called, people, the midnight people kind of appear. Even the guy with the beast power appears. This is where he starts kind of fighting against Lucky Magna. Of course, this is where the beast dude is kind of screaming, saying, I'll make you all feel despair. This is where, well, Yami says, okay, listen up, all of you. All of you are going to be fighting against what's called, well, the Midnight Eye people, okay? Asta, I need you to kill them. That's where Asta, he kind of nodded. That's where, well, the older man doesn't understand, but of course, he's just where he says, I'll make everyone's wish come true if they manage to defeat the Midnight Eyes. Or whatever the hell they call them, whatever. Let me actually remember. Okay, it was the Eye of the Midnight Sun. Well, I was like fucking it up most of the time. But yeah, of course, this is where, well, what's called the beast dude was saying, huh? You asking one person to kill me? What a waste of fucking power. This is where, well, Asta starts walking towards that place where he kind of sends the mana. This is where, well, Kitaro is right now following against this kid, and of course he doesn't understand why the leader of, well, the Black Bulls kind of asked this person to kind of attack this person or whatever, even though he can feel the mana of this person very dangerous. This is where Asta disappears by running towards it in blinding speed. This is where, well, Kitaro is trying to keep up, but of course he's seeing, well, every time Asta jumps, well, kind of blasts the ground, it just seems to be just full of strength. No mana detected. He's confused. That's why, well, the older man saying, that speed, how fast is it? How fast is that kid? That's why Yami says, pretty damn fast. And you should see him in battle. He's even more of a monster. That's where, well, the Beast Dude managed to defeat Luck. Was it called Kitaro and, well, yeah, Kitaro's father and all. Of course, Luck and Magna. Of course, the where, well, Asta gets there. And of course, the where, well, Asta sees this man, this beast. This is where the beast sees the kind of brown hood figure. That's where he says, huh? Where can I remember? This is where before even saying anything, this person, well, Asta already launches towards the person, grabbing him from the face and smashing him, well, grabbing his, like, face and, like, smashing the ground with his 2 feet and just swinging this man straight towards the wall. This person gets angry and rushes at Asta with his, like, beast, what's it called, mimicry magic. This is where he says, beast claw. This is where Asta says, serpent dodge. Asta dodges by kind of transforming into a serpent and going down on the ground. And of course, this is where Asta dodges it. This is where the beast dude says, now you remember, you're that goddamn serpent breath or whatever you are. Asta says, you're right. And since I have an order, he says, I have an order to kill you. I shall kill you now. This is where Asta's, well, mana exploded. This is where, well, the ground underneath him exploded with the mana that he has. This is where the beast widened his eyes, just seeing this explosive mana way stronger than him. Asta appears, sending such a powerful kick straight towards this guy's chin, which he does manage to connect, and of course the guy flies up in the air, smashing into the, like, ceiling. This is where when he falls back down, he says, beast mimicry! What's it called? Rhino! This is where it transforms into a rhino. Asta transformed his hand into, well, nothing, but of course it looks like it's nothing, but of course it transformed into, well, something that he didn't expect. This is where Asta blocks the rhino, but still grabbing upon this person. This is where Asta's hand is coated in this white kind of glow. This is where Asta's body is coated in this white kind of glow. This is where Asta's forehead does this appear this kind of red kind of diamond a little bit. Kind of like fading into it. But this is where Asta, this is where he jumps away from the rhino. But this is where he sends such a powerful knee into this guy's, like, head. Of course, smashing him into the wall. This is where the beast dude is getting angry. He didn't realize how powerful this guy is exactly. Saying, I'm not going to lose. I won't lose my arm. This before he even says anything, his arm gets cut off in an instant. This is where Asta appears behind him, having the arm burning him right now. That's where Asta has his Kusanagi blade. And right now, the serpent book is right now floating around Asta. Asta says, you should shut up more. And, well, you should talk less. Well, no, but let me say that again. You should shut up more and fight more. Well, not shut up. Yeah, shut up more and talk and fight more, you retarded fuck. This is where, well, the beast dude gets angry, opens the third eye, and starts fighting against Asta. Asta dodges some of the attacks, and of course, this is where some of the attacks manage to hit Asta, but didn't break Asta's arm. Instead, Asta grabs this guy and kind of twists, Asta twists his body to bite into this beast guy, into his neck, sending some poison. Yes, Asta does stretch out his neck like Orochimaru and bite into this guy. Not giving him a curse mark, but mostly sending some poison that Asta can actually produce by himself. Not, well, thanks to his somewhat serpent genes, he can somewhat produce poison from his own, like, well, teeth. But yeah, this is where, well, the person screamed, the beast guy, grabs Asta's head and throws him out of here. This is where Asta, he transformed his body into serpents and then reformed again and says, "Ah, you're really pathetic, you know that." This is where the guy's getting angry saying, "How? How am I just still weak? I'm using such a barbarian technique, and you're not losing once yet?" This is where when Noelle and the other commander get there, they're seeing this such a battle, a terrifying battle. This is where Asta, who seems to be caring less about this guy, because Asta seems to really care less. Asta is just dodging some of the attacks, and this is where Asta just says, "Yeah, you missed a lot of attacks." Because Asta's twisting his body like a snake. It's normal, but of course Asta's just kind of, well, half human, half serpent. So of course Asta's really able to kind of defeat this guy. That's where Asta sends such a powerful jabs into, well, this guy by kind of transforming his hand into lightning and saying white lightning snakes jabs. That's where Asta sends such like ferocious, powerful jabs into this beast dude, kind of like stabbing it into his chest. That's where the guy kind of widened his eyes and realized that half of his mana got kind of paralyzed. He doesn't know why, but he feels a little bit weaker. But of course, he starts still fighting against Asta. Right now, trying to say, "Beast Mimicry, ancient beast." This is where he sends such purple flames at Asta. Asta says, "Ancient serpent." The what's it called? Ancient serpent. What's it called? His name was what's it called? Rosho, or not Rosho? Let me think about it. Asta says, "Shokawato." This is where a fire serpent snake appeared from like a circle of magic and sent such a powerful flame attack straight towards, well, the purple flames clashing in the middle. But of course, the fire managed to break through and hit the beast dude. The beast dude gets pushed away, and of course, he widened his eyes. And this is where Asta's transformation has fully completed. It's where Asta is saying, "Finally, I'm able to absorb so much mana into my body, finally sustaining the perfect transformation." Asta's head, his forehead, mostly transformed into having like this red kind of crystal. Of course, like this red crystal that's kind of having veins into his forehead. But yeah, of course, it's where Asta kind of looks to have horns on top of its head mostly. And of course, his hair kind of stands up to being white. This is where a whitish glow appears. This is where, well, Asta seems to has taken a transformation on. This is where he took it off his kind of like coat and then told what's it called Amaterasu and even what's it called Shoron or whatever I call him to kind of escape. This is where they say, "No, we will keep fighting with you." As where Asta says, "Do it now, please." That's where they nodded, even though they didn't wanna. But this is where Asta, his mana has been exploding higher and higher, and finally has reached his transformation. Asta says, "White snake." Well, not white snake. He says, "White serpent king." Let me say that again. "King of serpents, white serpent." This is where Asta, he says, "Red diamond, white serpent." This is where Asta, this is what, let me say that again. For fuck's sake, I keep fucking up the name. Let me say that again. This is where he says, "King of serpents, red diamond, white serpent transformation." This is where Asta's scales around his body, he was a grayish color and all that, has now fully turned white. This is where Asta's hands, they are still hands, and this is where Asta, like, his mana exploded into so much. And this is where some things are kind of cracking around the, what's called, sea temple, but yeah. This is where the older man never expect such a kid to have such powerful mana. And this is where Yami has never expected this form. This is where the beast dude has never seen a form like this. Asta says, "Let me show you who I truly am." This is where Asta cracks the ground, but this is where he launches off the ground, rushing towards the beast dude. Of course, behind Asta, a great chunk of like rocks kind of launch up. This is where Asta, as well, rushing at this dude in high speeds. This is where Asta appears behind this dude, sending such a powerful knee straight towards the back of this dude. It's crushing half of his bones behind him, but still the guy smiles and says, "You really are perfect." This is where a sword was stabbed behind him. This is where it was the anti-magic sword. Right now taking away his what's it called, monocloak. This is where he winds his eyes. This is where Asta appears in front of him, having the other demon sword and stabbing it in front of him. This is where both of his manas are kind of taken away. Well, mostly both of the shields. And this is where Asta says, "Now you don't have anything. A white serpent style, white obliteration." Asta touches person once, and of course his whole the upper body exploded. This is where, well, there was nothing left. But of course, a giant hole in the sea temple was there. And of course, it smashed through the, what's it called, well, the barrier, but just passed through and kind of went up. This is where haha guy saying, haha, why would these, well, he was still saying, I haven't felt that beastly This is where he says, "What the hell?" He falls down into the sand and everyone winds their eyes. This is where Asta, who is looking at, well, the beast who is now dead. And this is where Asta sees his two swords fall down. Asta, who seems really tired, his hand seems to be fucked up really bad. Because that technique is a very dangerous technique that Asta usually doesn't use that much. But it was a technique that should kill this person. This is where Asta kind of hand seems to be fucked up, and this is where Asta seems to be really tired. Asta is kind of trying to stand up still, but this is where Asta seems to pass out. This is where before he was able to kind of fully fall down on the ground, Yami appears and grabs him and says, "You did good, kid. You did good." This is where, well, everyone else says, "Yami!" This is where it says, "Yami, how did you escape?" "I used a very powerful technique that I managed to unlock. I guess seeing this fight, well, made me kind of pass my limits a little bit. I was kind of worried about the kid." Asta, who is right now just unconscious, but yeah. Asta was unconscious, and this is where Asta was right now going into a deep sleep. This is where both of the snakes, Amaterasu and Shoroi, kind of appears and kind of like sits on Asta's kind of like stomach. But yeah, kind of wondering if he's okay. Which he is, because they can see some of the mana in Asta's body and see that he's fine. This is where, well, Asta just needs to rest. This is where, well, the next day happens, and of course everyone is kind of trying to get rest because they did kind of fight and waste a lot of their mana, but yeah. This is where, well, some of them were kind of amazed with Asta's power, and this is where when Asta woke up the next day, he had it to have one of his arms kind of in a casket. Because, yeah, Asta couldn't really move that arm. This is where Asta says, "Damn it, can't move my left arm no more." Because he did use his left arm, not right arm. Asta says, "Damn it, now I can somehow put on my coat." This is where Asta is walking without his coat, just mostly his like shirt, and sees, well, Yami doing something. He then sees Yami kind of blessing the sky or kind of like praying for this dude or whatever. And this is where Asta says, "What are you doing, sir?" This is where Yami says, "You're still very dangerous. The fact that I can't read your key shows for you to be a very dangerous person. But still, you did good, kid. Even if your arm is kind of broken. This will heal once I get back to the cave. Besides, I'm fine." Even though Asta, he can't really open his eyes fully. This is where, well, Yami says, "Sure, just get back over there." Asta says, "Fine." Asta gets back towards where the others are at, but yeah. That's where everyone is kind of happy and cheering for the Black Bulls, and especially Asta, but Asta seems to just stay away from the crowd. Right now, trying to hide. This is where, well, Noelle managed to find him, being hiding around some bushes. Even if she can't even sense his mana or ki, she managed to find him with pure luck, but yeah. That's where Noelle says, "I'm surprised you're actually hiding away from the festival that's trying to celebrate for you." Asta says, "I'm not a very celebrated person. And why should I be celebrated? That form I just shown was very cursive. I should also mention that Asta's eyes did turn a slick blue, but yeah. This is where, well, Asta just says, besides, you should probably get away from me. I'm a snake. A serpent. And besides, I don't look that great. And yeah. This is where Noelle says, shut up. Just come on. She grabs Asta from like the hand and starts kind of pulling him towards the celebration, but yeah. This is where they get out of the water temple, and of course they do get a sea, what's it called? That sea, not sea, mostly the magic crystal. And of course, it was mostly Nero kind of grabbing it and kind of like pecking at Junko. Junko was like surprised, but really hates this bird half the damn time. Nero did try to get near Asta, but the problem with Asta, Serpents would have tried to eat the bird. So of course, she never got close to him. At all. And even trying to land on top of him, some serpent might get up there and try to eat the bird. But yeah, we'll mostly eat her because she is a bird. And so well, Asta, who is right now just kind of falling asleep somewhat, he keeps kind of going out of conscious, but yeah. And so well, it's mostly what's it called, Junko and Kurumi kind of having Asta not fully fall down because they're kind of holding him up, because yeah. Of course, this is where they kind of smile and kind of see that Asta is really protecting them. Even if he has to go against, well, dangerous foes and having to use some dangerous technique, he's willing to protect everyone while using dangerous techniques. Asta, who fully just passes out most of the time. They get to the Blackwell hideout, and of course, where Julius does get the crystal, well, the small magic crystal and all that. Asta's there, and of course, Asta's wearing his coat still like usual. That's where Julius says, so, I'm surprised that one of the beasts, one of the Eye of the Midnight Sun managed to get defeated. And very interesting, he did get obliterated. Such a powerful mage you are, Asta. That's where Asta glares at him, saying, how do you know my name? This is where Yami says, well, I kind of told him. This is where Asta says, damn it. That's where, well, Yami says, hey, don't blame me. Mushroom Head was the one over here kind of annoying me. But yeah. That's where, well, Mushroom Head says, that's not my name. God damn it. Because yes, Mushroom Head did kind of come in with the communication and saying that that one village is getting attacked. But yeah. Asta says, I could somewhat teleport there. I think I managed to get to that place one time in a little vacation, I would say. This is where, well, Yami says, okay, then let's go. This is where, well, Julie says, fine, you two can go. This is where they both go. Of course, Asta's arm is still hurt, but of course, Asta lands without a portal. Of course, Charming is also there because Charming wanted to come along, but yeah. This is where, well, Fenrir isn't there, but this is where Asta lands into the capital, or not capital, this village, and starts attacking some of the diamond mages with his sword, his Kusanagi. This is where he's killing them instantly. This is where Asta, he kind of launches serpents from, well, his arm. Even if his arm is still in a casket, multiple serpents appear, still kind of like attacking some of the diamond mages, stabbing them or fighting them, stabbing them with their own tails because their tails kind of do become sharp metal. This is where Asta, he's rushing towards them and cutting them down instantly. This is where Asta, even if he had to use his mouth to pull out a sword, he would. Because, yeah. This is where, well, Asta's doing that. And, of course, this is where the Golden Dawn managed to get there. And when they get there, they kind of hear the place being kind of quiet. Some of the mages of the Clover Kingdom is kind of healing each other. But, yeah. That's where they're saying, you guys are finally here? But I thought, then who's attacking? This is where they see one of the, well, diamond mages kind of land down. And it's one of, well, the the 8 shining diamonds. Is the guy who kind of has, what's it called, like this lightning around his, well, like a lightning bow and all that. And of course he crashed down, having a sword through his heart. This is where he's on the ground. The sword is right now in his heart. And this is where what they see, the Golden Dawn, is a black bull. And this black bull is kind of wearing a brown coat. Can't see the person having no arm. But of course, this is where, well, you already know who this person is. With the color shade of his eyes. And this is where Asta sends such upon them. Such a strong strong mana presence upon all of them. This is where all of them were pushed down to the ground. All of them, and I mean even the vice captain itself. This is where they all widen their eyes. This person is from the Black Wolves, and it's just showing no fucking liking towards them. This is where, well, Yami managed to get there and says, Asta, calm down. You don't need to kill the Golden Dawn. They are a part of the somewhat Magic Knights, even though you didn't pay attention that much to the Magic Knights. So, don't kind of try to threaten them. They're not a part of our enemy. Right? Well, what's called? I forgot his goddamn name, the guy that can use the tree magic, but yeah. This is where, well, the guy says, yeah, I can't believe you have someone so dangerous like him. You know who kind of sees Asta, who just grabs his sword and kind of starts walking away? You know, says, Asta, wait. Asta, who disappears in a blitz of just power by kind of just adding magic towards his legs. He just jumps up in the air, and of course, this is where Asta says, Serpent summoning, wind snake. This is where, well, a wind snake appears. A large wind snake appears. This is where he roars. Well, not roars, mostly hiss in the air and says, hello there, Asta. Sama. You summoned me. And how can this wind serpent serve you? Destroy all of those weaklings ahead of us. The ones with golden robes? No, the ones with diamond on their heads or whatever. Those are diamond mages. Can you please help me? Can you please lend me your hand? Well, that's what Asta says. Ayala, so please send all of these weaklings. Well, he says, send up the. That was just a Google translator trying to figure out how to translate this thing, because it's kind of a wind god's name. So yeah, it was hard for me to translate, but yeah. And I can't believe the translator even kept on going after a while, but just because my Wi-Fi is shit, but yeah. Of course, this is where Asta says, I also. This is where, well, the wind snake is not just a normal snake. It's a snake that, well, it's a serpent that's in the wind category, but above all wind serpents, because this is the leader of all the wind serpents, the god of mostly. This is where Asta, he summons this kind of serpent, and this serpent is big. It's kind of big as like the whole what's called kind of village, or mostly kind of like kingdom somewhat there that Asta's at. This is where the serpent hiss, and of course it was loud enough that people can hear it. Civilians were terrified of this thing. This is where the diamond mages widen their eyes. This is where Yami says, a little overkill, Asta, but I guess you have the right mind. This is where the two diamond, well, mages that were from the Shining Eight will widen their eyes. Who is this kid? What is this being? This is where, well, Asta says, now send your powerful attack. This is where the serpent says, wind style, wind style, divine wind push. This is where he pushed all the diamond mages out of, well, the whole what's called village by kind of sending such a light breeze, but still such a powerful one, aiming for only the diamond mages and just pushing them all back into the diamond mage kind of like border. This is where Asta says, now. This is where, well, the serpent had a greenish beam in his mouth. This is where he was gathering up so much wind in his mouth, saying, Asta says, divine obliteration, god of wind. This is where, well, the light, like, kind of wind attack kind of launches and just obliterate a whole portion of the, well, diamond mage. Well, not kingdom, mostly just a part of the land. This is where so many people widen their eyes. Asta, who doesn't seem tired, because this, well, wind snake god doesn't actually tire him. The one that actually did tire him was the one that he actually used against that beast dude. And this is where Asta, he was only showing his power so he can shut the fuck up the golden mages, because he heard how cocky they were, and if he shows such a very powerful technique, he can shut them all up. This is where Asta, he says, you can go now. at a show. This is where, well, he nodded and then disappears into wind and just poof away. This is where Asta lands down to the ground, and of course, this is where he gets to Yami and says, I have now obliterated the whole army. This is where Yami says, pretty good, kid, pretty good. Even though you went a little overboard. This is where Asta says, I only went overboard to show the Golden Dawns there are nothing but pathetic weaklings, and if they get in my way, I will summon more god snakes to obliterate them in an instant for their foolishness and cockiness. This is where Asta said it all in an instant in such an anger tone. This is where the Golden Dawn realized that they pissed off Asta. They are going to die. This is where, well, Yami says, I know you're gonna love just making fun of them mostly. This is where, well, Yuno, who stands right now behind Asta, Asta says, now, may we be going back to the Black Ball hideout, Yami-sama. This is where Yami says, sure. That's where Yuno says, hey, Asta. God damn it, stop ignoring me. Why? Why now? Out of all times, you're now a Black Ball. You could have become a Golden Dawn, but no, you're throwing the Golden Dawn position, aren't you? Asta says, why says that? Oh, is it because I threatened your spot and power? Oh, is it because you are not going to become the Wizard King? Oh, please, you are still going to become the Wizard King. I just wanted to threaten them to show that they're nothing but pathetic weaklings. The guy with teleportation magic, someone with offense teleportation magic, gets angry and attacks Asta, saying, you're nuts. You're nothing to me. You probably just made some illusion ability, whatever. This is where, well, Vanshin or whatever his name was, say stop. Was it called the dude that has offense teleport magic and it's actually Finral's kind of little brother? Tries to attack Asta. Asta pulls out his sword, stab this guy. This is where, well, the guy goes, this is where he falls down. This is where, like, venom was going into his body. Because this sword does have so many poisonous that Asta can choose. This is where, this time, it's paralyzed. This is where this guy tried to get up, and his whole body was paralyzed. Asta says, for your defilements in trying to attack someone else who's from a different magic knight, I should execute you. This is where Asta has a sword, and of course, this is where such a magical, well, not magical, a mana pressure upon this guy smashes. This is where Yami says, you shouldn't kill him, Asta. This is where Asta says, yes, sir, I shouldn't. This is where Yuno kind of glares at Asta, hating the fact that Asta has this much power, but didn't want to show any of it to becoming a kind of magic knight. Instead, he became a magic knight in the Black Bulls. He is confused, angry, and annoyed. The fact that Asta is just not really belittling him that much. It's mostly that Asta still believes that Yuno can become the Wizard King. It's just Asta seems to really not care about that goal. This is where Yuno realizes. This is where Yuno sees Asta and says, Asta, wait. Did that goal not matter to you? Was it nothing to you? This is where Asta says, no. It did matter to me once. Besides, you can do it. You can do it for my dream and your dream. Bye-bye. Asta teleports into this portal magic, and of course he disappears. This is where Yami kind of also did talk to, well, the guy. And of course this is where he disappears also. So where, well, not mostly Yuno, mostly the other guy with that kind of like terrible scar because I forgot his name, but yeah. This is where, well, that happens, and of course, well, so of course that happens, and of course is where, well, they get back to the Black Bulls, and of course Asta still kind of meets that one doctor for his arm, and this is where the person says, I'm sorry, but your arm is kind of irreparable. This is where Asta already knew this because Asta did use a very powerful forbidden technique that he shouldn't use. Asta has an idea to repair it, but this is where the other Black Bulls decide to help him, even though Asta didn't ask them to. This is where, well, they all went to great lengths, and of course this is where, well, Junko, Karumi, and Finral, and even what's called Noelle, kind of visit a guy with red hair, and, well, a guy with red hair, a girl with orange hair, and another girl that has black hair, like visits them and talks to them about repairing someone's arm. This is where, well, the girl who has orange hair is named Donna and says, sure. So who's this person? His name is Asta. Junko talked about. This is where, well, Cougar says, interesting, Asta. This is where he thinks of his head. Only know one Asta. This is where the girl behind, well, Cougar is, well, named, what's it called? Named Marilyn. And of course, where, well, not Marilyn. Is it Marilyn? Or, wait. Well, her name is Mariella, not Marilyn. Mariella. And of course, where, well, they get to the Black Bull hideout. And of course, Asta's just over there kind of training with one of his swords while his other arm is unable to kind of be used. This is where, well, Asta kind of noticed their presence, and this is where Asta kind of turn off his mana entirely. And this is where Asta says, may I help you? Noelle, Junko, Karumi, Finro, and, well, interesting. I haven't seen you in a while. Cougar. This is where, well, Cougar kind of says, now I not know who you are. Who are you anyway? Asta says, weren't you that dude that was like somehow got his clothes somehow torn off of him? How? Asta kind of questioned. This is where Cougar says, well, you see here. Donna says, it's because he has this weird kind of fetish and he likes it. This is where, well, Cougar says, no, don't listen to her. This is where, well, Marijan says, yeah, I can agree with Donna. This is where, well, Junko, Karumi, even what's it called, Noelle says, yeah, that is true. Asta says, okay, then why are you all here? If you're trying to figure out how to heal my arm, I already have an idea. It's where, well, they say, no, that's not a way. Let's just go to a place called W Land. That's where Asta says, W Land? The hell do you? That's where, well, they get to this place, and of course, this is where Asta is kind of riding on, well, a broom with Marilyn. This is where Marilyn, not Marilyn. Her name is not Marilyn. It's, wait, let me actually think about it. Her name is Mariella, and of course she says, why do I have to be in a broom with this guy? Of course, this is where Noelle is kind of riding on a broom with, well, Junko, Karumi is with Donna, and of course, this is where Finra is with, well, Cougar. This is where, well, Mariella is kind of like saying, I don't even know who this person is. This is where Asta, who doesn't seem to care that much about, well, being seen that much. Of course, this is where Cougar says, so, who are you anyway? That's where Asta takes off his hood and says, you really did forget about me, you idiot. This is where Cougar says, Asta? Oh, so that's what you are. Huh, it's been a long time. Besides, you almost did kill, well, Mariana here, before we met at one time. We go into a flashback of when Asta kind of met Cougar. Of course, it was a while ago, and of course, it was kind of that time in, well, the training of the kind of becoming a magic knight. Asta just went missing because, well, not missing, training because he wanted to still be a magic knight next year, but yeah, they all thought of that. Asta, who was just training in his swordsmanship and using the Kizunaki blade, kind of met where Cougar kind of being chased by a boar. Of course, Cougar met this person. Asta killed the boar. Of course, where Cougar kind of talks to Asta. Of course, they kind of live in that one house a little bit, kind of training swordsmanship. Asta kind of just improved in swordsmanship much better. This is where, well, Cougar, who kind of was confused with Asta's no mana, but of course, this is where he didn't mind it. Of course, this is where Asta did meet Marion. Of course, this is where, well, Asta did kill some of the diamond, well, mages pretty easily. And is telling what's called what Cougar that one time about if you give up, you're a fucking idiot. This is where Cougar didn't give up at that time, and this is where, well, yeah. This is where, well, Marion says, so, I remember you now. I'm surprised you're a black bull, magic knight. Asta says, probably. And I can't really forget your face. You're more depressed than I ever fucking thought. This is where she says, I'm going to kill you. This is where she pulls out it's something that creation like an ice, what's it called? ice knife and tried to stab Asta. Asta says, "Do it and I'll kill you." Asta's face seems to be threatening. Of course, Marion is also threatening. This is where both of them are kind of glaring at each other, and this is where they say, "Okay, it was a bad idea to put both of them there." Everyone's died. This is where Asta says, "Whatever." This is where Marion puts her freaking knife away. This is where Asta decides to put away the Kuznaki blade, even though he managed to pull it out. But yeah, Asta says, "Whatever. You look good." That's where Marion says, "You don't look bad yourself, Snake Boy." That's where Asta says, "Kuh. Whatever." Hiss. You kind of hiss, but yeah. This is where they say, "Huh? Did they?" This is where half of the girls that are kind of into us, they're kind of like become jealous, but yeah. This is where, Fenrir kind of feels the jealousy, and he's like, he's mostly jealous because Asta can get so many girls, even if he looks like that. This is where, he is kind of jealous because how? How can Asta be like this and still somehow get the charms? But yeah, Asta, who doesn't care and just decides to kind of look forward ahead. But yeah, but this is where I'm actually gonna leave it off because I'm getting really tired, and this whole time I was actually getting really tired and actually wanted to go to sleep. But yeah, but other than that, have a nice potato day, potato night, potato sleep, potato, and potato. But good night.